King Charles's image will not be featuring on their new $5 banknote. The country's Reserve Bank announcing that decision after consultation with the Australian government. So the future design will pay tribute, they say, to the culture and history of first Australians, the Indigenous people. Let's speak now with royal commentator joining us once more, former BBC royal correspondent Michael Cole. Michael, thank you for your time. And of course, we do reflect that the Queen held quite a fond place for Australia in the Commonwealth family. But, you know, relations now have changed and developed over the years.
Indeed, Mark, and good afternoon to you. This is not a slap in the face to King Charles, but rather it's a boost for, as you said, the First Nations of Australia. And instead of the monarch's head, we'll be seeing on Australian $5 notes key figures from the Aboriginal history, the Indigenous peoples of Australia, and there are several of them that will be on there. I'm sure we can all think of good nominees. Perhaps Yvonne Goolagong comes to my mind. And so it's not a setback for the monarchy, and it's not anything to do with Australian republicanism, which is quite a strong thing. Bear in mind that it wasn't until 1960 that the Queen's face appeared upon British banknotes. Before that, before 1960, and she'd been on the throne for 8 years then, it was just the facade of the Bank of England on the £1 note, and there was just copperplate script on the great big white fivers. And of course, up in Scotland, where there are 3 banks that are allowed to issue banknotes, the monarch very rarely appears. There have been exceptions, but since George IV in the early days of the 19th century, the monarch hasn't been on Scottish banknotes. There was an exception at the time of the Golden Jubilee, when there was a special note issued, which did, of course, depict Her Majesty the Queen, the late Queen.
Yeah, I think I'm right in saying that the coins down there will still keep the Queen's head, and then King Charles's head as well on the new coinage. So the link is still there. But you referred, of course, to the Republican movement. There was a vote, well, I think 1999, wasn't it? I mean, where are we with that relationship with Australia? Is it still now, you know, a friendly cousin?
Absolutely. And as you say, the coins will bear the image of King Charles, and all those coins will stay in circulation. And it's also a fact that the higher denomination notes in Australia did never carry the monarch's image. Publicanism in Australia, and I've had some close study of it, it comes and goes. It is there, very much so, but the Australians have always come to decide that they are better sticking with the constitutional monarchy, which has served them pretty well to date, rather than go through the trauma and divisive process of electing a president, which might bring more problems than they particularly want. So the tried and true has been stuck with, and there is, as you say, a tremendous kinship. I think at one stage, 1 in 10 Australians has got British relatives. We all love the country. We all think it's fantastic, and there is that kinship, and blood is thicker than water.